So we have a lot of stuff to cover in today's update. So hey everyone, how's it going today? And welcome back to another video episode and update. And the big thing is that in today's update, what I really want to share is that there is a new bill that recently just came out in order to do $350 monthly stimulus checks. But what is actually very particularly special about this bill is that it was actually a bill that was released by the Senate Republicans. So this is actually really significant because we've had so many proposals about, again, objectively speaking, most of the proposals we've had have come from the Democrats, and obviously many of the Republicans, objectively speaking, we're just not very much in support. But we do finally have information about a program that they do agree with, or at least they are trying to get out there in order to do some kind of stimulus program. We also have some updates about just the child tax credit in general, and then also really big is all about the recession that's going on. That you might have seen a lot of videos. This is actually going to be relatively important. We will talk about why it's important, because it's definitely going to impact stimulus checks, and it's definitely also going to just impact our livelihood. So everything's going to make a lot more sense. So we are going to get right to it, but as always, real fast, before we begin, if you guys hopefully enjoy videos like this, remember to smash the like button, consider subscribing and hitting the bell, or you guys can watch to the end and hopefully decide. And as always, feel free to comment any questions, maybe personal thoughts. It really is always great to say hi to new and familiar faces, even just simple hellos. So with that being said, let's get this video started. So as just mentioned is that there is a new bill that recently just came out. I probably will make another future video to really dive into every single detail related to this bill. But the surface answer to what this bill is that it's essentially a new bill that was released in order to try to extend the child tax credit, but specifically by $350 every single month. And the significance about this is that even if you don't necessarily have a family per se, or not a family, but even if you don't necessarily have children per se, and I feel it right there because I don't have children. I know many people that are my age, and obviously many different ages, that do have children. I know people that have had children since their teens. But the big idea about why this is really important is that what this really does show is that at the end of the day, even though it is very well known objectively speaking, there are obviously a lot of conflicts and disagreements that have just historically gone on between the Democrats and the Republicans. What this really shows is that, as just mentioned, is that there are actually still many, or certainly a reasonable number of policies that both parties actually very much do support. The only biggest reason why many of the programs, and specifically the stimulus programs, have been struggling to get approved is a lot more because of a lot of the other policies and the approach that they have to doing stimulus programs. So what does this mean, for example, is that one very most prominent example is about how they want to approve these stimulus programs. Back then, there was a lot of talks about how some people, even if they maybe agree on trying to extend the child tax credit, there might be some people that want to just create an individual bill, and this bill is actually an individual bill, to try to extend the child tax credit. There are also a lot of other people that want to extend the child tax credit or other stimulus related programs, so even for singles. But the only thing is that they don't want just that. They want to bundle it inside of a package to make sure that they're able to get all of the policies that they're in through. Essentially, the bottom line is that there's a conflict between just doing one program or doing this program with a bunch of other programs collectively. And why they would want to do it collectively is because the biggest fear is that even if they get this one program that they agree through, because of what's going on, especially because, again, reconciliation can only be used, a certain number of times every single year. Their biggest fears is that it means that a lot of other policies that they might agree on might get left out. So that's really the biggest thing about getting just these stimulus programs through in general. Now, within actually just what this specific bill is that the way that this bill works is actually a little bit described right here. And the idea really is that it's going to be extending the child tax credit by $350 monthly for anyone that has a child that's 5 years old or under per child, or by $250 monthly for people that have children between the ages of 6 to 17. So it's actually a relative increase from last time. Maybe a little bit of a flashback is that the original child tax credit that sadly expired earlier this year, it was meant to do stimulus checks, but specifically by $300 monthly. Now they're going to be able to do it by $350 monthly. And I do notice is that the last stimulus check or the last child tax credit program did have something where they would deliver $300 monthly for about half of the year, and then at the start of the new year following this, so the second half of the year, but specifically into the new year, they were going to essentially send out a lump sum payment of essentially almost $2,000 as a flat rate. What is really particularly maybe important to just know is that, as just mentioned in the last update that we did, I believe the name of the update is literally just called "Will the Recession Cause More Stimulus Checks?" And how this actually relates is that the specific method that they are going to be using to fund this program, if it goes through, is that they're going to be trying to take a lot of the existing funds that they already have inside and trying to take that money to create it. In other words, instead of printing new money, because again, keep in mind, as just mentioned, definitely recommend checking that video. It'll be at the end screen on the bottom. The goal is that in order to control inflation, is that they do not want to necessarily print more money, but what they can do, and what we already are seeing again based off of this proposal, is that they can try to take the money they already have and try to reallocate it or redirect it to support other programs. And one of them, as just mentioned in this video, is a potential child tax credit or just other fourth stimulus social programs that are meant to put money inside of our pockets. But of course, all of this probably ties into the next thing that we're going to talk about, which is going to be everything related to the recession. And because the biggest new information that we really have right now when it comes to the recession is that it is very well known right now that many people, we are talking about from just celebrities, people on media, to people on YouTube, to people on local news, to maybe people you even know in real life, that many people believe that a recession is going to very much likely come. In fact, it was actually just announced today that if you're watching this on release date, that TD Securities and several other just organizations in general believe that within the next 16 months, there's probably over a 50% chance we will enter into some kind of recession in the next, as just mentioned, 16 months. Now, why is this actually particularly important to us, or why does this actually specifically matter, is really about the fact that if the recession really does come, first off is that there are already a lot of states and people out there and governors and representatives that are trying to create inflation stimulus check programs, and some of them have actually already gotten approved. I will definitely, there's a video that many of you guys may have already seen. I believe it's literally just called the $1,050 stimulus check, because it talks about a program where probably about over 20 million people inside of our country, that's definitely a lot of people, over 20 million people inside of our country are going to potentially now be expecting to receive over the next couple of months, because again, this is an approved program, a $1,050 fourth stimulus check. But of course, we already talked all about that, so I'll put that video at the end screen. It'll be on the bottom, and again, it's called the 10,000 or $1,050. But why this is particularly significant is that because if this country really does enter into recession, it is not only very probable, first off, that we may start to see even more states that start to take action to kind of approve their own individual inflation-related stimulus checks. The other part about why this is really particularly significant is that because if we really do go into recession, it's not just even the stimulus check side that might be impacted, but even a lot of stuff related to our lifestyle. So one of them, for example, is that we might start to see unemployment go back up again. And obviously, I know many people here are or certainly were unemployed something in the last 2 years, including myself, because the premise of this entire channel really started and built up off of just a lot of people that were unemployed coming together, again, including myself. And so the story behind it is that because if this really does end up happening, it is believed by many that the unemployment rate might actually start to go back up again. It was very high during the pandemic. It dipped all the way down once the pandemic started to, recover. And it's very potentially probable that it might start to even go up again if we really do end up into recession, which maybe can potentially mean unemployment benefits programs, but that is something to be determined. But I'd probably say one of the things that not as many people are really talking about that goes on even beyond money, even though I know we are obviously a finance, economics related news channel, is really just about our lifestyle. And I think that's one of the most important things, is that because on just a personal lifestyle related reasoning, is that hopefully when you go outside, you look around, there are stores. Well, I guess it depends where you live, because you might be in a farm, but if you go to any major city, any town, any village, any place, you probably look around and you see a lot of different stores. Hopefully there are a lot of stores that, and even whether this is chain stores, businesses, restaurants, anything like that, that you hopefully try to support. If our country ends up entering into recession, there is a very probable chance, and we already saw it during the 2020 pandemic situation that happened, is that a lot of businesses sadly ended up closing. So it's very probable that if the recession really comes, this might make things even worse, that maybe many other businesses are also going to start to close down or get replaced or end up empty. So this isn't even just something related to just our own financial livelihoods, although that's one of the most important things, but it's even just about our quality of life. If this really ends up entering into some kind of recession-related situation, it is very probable that the stores we love to shop at, the businesses we love to buy things, the services, the entertainment that we enjoy, or want to potentially have fun, and a lot of this stuff is very important, things that we use to escape, to stress relief, to get through difficult times, to enjoy life a little bit. A lot of that stuff, it's going to be impacted. And I think this is the part that is just as important, that I think not as many people really fully think about. But of course, all of this stuff we have to see in just hopefully one of the future episodes and videos of this show. But with that being said, that's pretty much what I really just wanted to cover in today's update. So if you guys found that relatively insightful, as always, remember to smash the like button, consider subscribing and hitting the bell. And as always, feel free to comment any questions, personal thoughts about honestly anything. So that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, stay safe, stay well. If you're watching this on release date, happy 7/11, and hope to see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much again.